What's going on, everybody? Live long and prosper. My name is Deadrick Baker. This is the Cosmic Road Trip Podcast. This is my brother from another mother, Taylor. We call him Tay Chilla. We're doing the Cosmic Road Trip Podcast right now. And it's going to be a little bit different than my average videos. But because the legacy is about mind, body, spirit, and we like to talk about cosmic concepts like I always talk about in my videos, this is going to talk about some fringe subjects pertaining to cosmic reality. And in order to understand reality, you got to kind of study everything that's out there. And at the Legacy, that's what we do. We have a designated library that's focused on a bunch of different texts from a bunch of different sources: religious texts, spiritual texts, apocryphal texts, texts that go against the orthodoxy, a bunch of different stuff. And if you really want to understand society as a whole and the cosmos as a whole, you have to read every point of view, whether it be left, right, up, down, center, back, forward. And that's what we do here. That's what we do with the Cosmic Road Trip. That's why it's called the Cosmic Road Trip. It's a road trip through the stars, baby. And we're going to look at every single viewpoint. So, disclaimer, we don't truly believe every single thing we're talking about. We're just going to talk about all these concepts, put them on the table, and relate them to each other. If we truly believe it, we'll state so, but I hope we can have a fun conversation. I hope you guys can join us as we digest and navigate the secrets of the universe.
Yum. Right. My name is Taylor. You can find me on all the social medias at Taychilla, Taychilla, a multimedia creator and a universe thinker. Universe philosophy, I tell Deadrick, I have a hobby in reading strange books with unlikely sources. And so that definitely covers all the bases for studying reality and mind, body, spirit practices through books. And that's kind of where you can dive into the different philosophies and concepts that you then figure out how to apply through programs like the Legacy, mind, body, spirit practice, self-development, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, so Deadrick, I mean, you opened up there with a pretty, a lot of interesting kind of avenues. One that stuck out to me was how can you study reality from a book, and how does that apply then to a mind, body, spirit practice?
You're asking me the question. Sorry, guys. I got caught off. I'm on my heels right now.
Why are you here?
Why am I here? Exactly. Why am I here? No, that good segue right there. Huh. So we all know that reality exists. This is not up for debate. We exist. We're on a planet floating through space. And the only way we can figure this out is together by sharing concepts, sharing thoughts, talking about it in an open space, in an open form. Now, we all know that without deviation from the norm, progress will never happen, period. So if we really want to progress as a society, we need to study all information we have. And I don't know if you guys know this, but texts are an extremely good way to preserve information. And that's what we're going to be talking about here. Different concepts from different texts, different concepts from different traditions. And from my point of view, how do these texts affect my perception of reality? Or how do these texts affect anybody's perception of reality? So this is a cosmic road trip, and we're going to be talking about the texts or the ideologies that affect your cosmic lens. I guess the way you perceive reality. And I've been on the planet for 30 years, man. I've experienced a lot of different texts. I've read a lot, and my boy Taylor right here, I know, has read a lot, if not more than me, and we've been talking about it for a long time. There are a couple texts that pull your attention immediately, that start saying some stuff that hits home. And because this is a cosmic road trip, I want to talk about the texts that talk about, I guess, the cosmic reality, the cosmic hierarchy, our place in the universe. Because you can say, yeah, the cosmic hierarchy, the cosmic reality, that sounds crazy. But if you really think about it, we are on planet Earth. You cannot deny that. And the Earth is in the cosmos. So you have to recognize our place in the cosmos if you want to understand reality correctly. It's not a crazy thing to think about. It's not a crazy topic to talk about. And if you want to live life correctly, you're going to have to start incorporating this type of thoughts, this type of thinking into your waking day, into your living day. You know what I'm saying? So I hope if you're coming from a traditional background, this podcast isn't going to scare you away. Or if you're already interested and you're like, get to the juicy shit, Deadrick. Excuse my language, pardon my French. I might be talking like a sailor this podcast, but that's what we're going to be talking about. So a couple texts that come to mind that me and Taylor have been reading, we're going to be throwing them out left and right. Excuse us. This is how we speak. But I hope we'll put all the links for all the texts in the description. You can look them all up. Everything we're talking about, it might be like, whoa. We might talk about subjects that are a little bit higher than the average bear, but bear with us, and I hope they intrigue you guys. So, without further ado, the Urantia
Let me
Book.
chime in here, actually.
Oh!
Ooh.
I said it.
Let me interrupt you before you say that. No, I was saying, backtrack a little bit to the whole idea of text, both ancient texts and modern texts, is like humans have been on Earth for a minute, and our evidence keeps getting pushed back further and further for when humans have had organized civilization and just the existence of the sort of, I guess, modern Homo sapien that we understand right now. So humans have been thinking about this for a while. I don't know, maybe some people might argue that primitive humans weren't really thinking about their place in the stars, but we're limited in how much we can study that because we need art and text that goes back as far as that, when really most of the world's texts are not going back further than, I don't know, a couple thousand. Well, I don't know, 6,000.
I don't know. We'll figure it out. We're gonna have some conversations
we'll
about
that out. But yeah, this is part of the human experience, and Deadrick was saying going beyond Earth, figuring out where Earth is in a greater scheme. I mean, think about Marvel MCU. In my opinion, the universe is a lot more similar to, to that scene. And we've been very focused on ourselves, very Earth-centric. That's how most religions have been as well, very Earth-centric human experience. And Deadrick and I even want to expand to not just the human experience on Earth, but the mortal experience on other planets. And are there overlaps? Are there overlaps there? And maybe that's a segue into that first book you were mentioning, the Urantia Book.
That's a great segue, exactly. When we look up into the stars at night, everybody wants to know why the hell we're here. We all want that sense of awe gets in our soul, and we're like, when you're deep in the dark of night and staring at those stars, you're like, this is beautiful. Why are we here? What is my connection to that? What is my purpose? These are questions I've been asking for a long time, and I know Taylor has at the same time. So we look around and we try to figure out from the ancient text to the modern text. And there's a modern text that's out that says some interesting stuff about what's up there. It's called the Urantia Book. Been reading it for a while. Has some extreme and wild opinions on the cosmos, and it's hard to overlook them. It's honestly hard to deny them. But just bringing it back to reality, and not talking about a book. We all know what's happening in politics. We all know what's happening with COVID. We all know what's happening in the political scheme of things, and how Donald Trump did Republicans versus Democrats. We also know how the US government is dropping stuff about extraterrestrials, about videos, UAPs, unidentified aerial phenomenon, traditionally known as UFOs, unidentified flying objects. And if these things are not from our planet,
You're going to be asking these questions no matter what.
that's what I'm saying.
That you're gonna, yeah. What we're getting to is something that me and Deadrick both have the opinion that one, the universe has life, and that it very could possibly be visiting Earth. And so to us, we see this as a sort of indie wave. This is the point where you get to hear the band that isn't popular yet, and that band is called UAPs. Aliens Are Real.
And the Urantia Book.
That too. That's part of it.
Underground. That's underground. Exactly. So that's my segue right there. So if that's a hot topic in society right now, I'll make this definitive statement. I've read a lot of texts. I've read all the ancient texts from numerous religions. I participated in their weekly and monthly services. From Christianity to meditating with the Buddhists, I lost my train of thought for a second. That's okay. This is what we're here for. A cosmic road trip. We're going on a road trip. But I've done all that, and the Urantia Book itself, poof, it gives you the most detailed index or classifications of extraterrestrial entities. And because this is a hot news topic and hot news subject today in society, it's hard to look past, It's really hard to look past. It says that our planet is not isolated. We're like, a lot of people like to think that we're, humans, evolution, life is a
chance.
Yes, thank you. Humans, evolution, life is a chance, like you said. Yes, life is a chance, and it shouldn't have happened. We're too smart for our own good. There's no reason to be alive. We're just so smart that we're able to think about it for some weird human reason, and that there's no reason for existence. But this book actually states that we are part of an entire cosmic hierarchy, that there is a galactic federation out there, that there is an entire system, an entire government, an entire organization of celestial beings that we are a part of.
Yeah. So so I was saying that this idea that we're actually in an organized universe and that life isn't by chance; it's always sparked by some other life. This is a sort of direct opposite of how 21st century modern scientific thinking is going at this, where they say,
Thank you.
We arose by chance, by in small stages, and I think there's some parts of it that are definitely correct. The idea that a small cell could hitch a ride in the ice of like a comet from somewhere far away.
Panspermia.
Right, panspermia, and then kind of grow on a planet and multiply and combine to create newer life forms, chemical compounds like that. Okay, that makes sense. But of course, we're talking, it's always the jump to human beings.
Is that so crazy though? Is it so crazy to think about the concept of panspermia? That DNA, the single cell organism that started life, came from an extraterrestrial source. That the first single cell that seeded all life on planet Earth hitched a ride on a comet from a different place in the universe. So I know most people haven't thought about that yet, but jumping to conclusions, if that is the case, that means our DNA isn't from our planet. And there's some texts that we have both read, I know that talk about this in detail.
And this kind of goes into what some people have a problem with is the idea of intelligent design, because they have maybe...
Have you read the journals of Watson and Crick?
No.
The duo scientists who discovered the double helix pattern for DNA. Nobody understood nobody could understand, or nobody could even conceptualize what DNA looked like until these two people came along, Watson and Crick. They were the first person who understood the DNA sequence looked like a double helix, those two strands that revolve around each other. In their journals, they say it is impossible for the human genome to have evolved on planet Earth. They said it's the equivalent of somebody chopping up a thesaurus into a billion different pieces and throwing it outside of an airplane. And as it lands on the ground, it all lands perfectly back together in the thesaurus, and it's on the ground. Impossible. They say the DNA sequence did not evolve here on planet Earth. They say it must be extraterrestrial. And these are the people that discovered the DNA sequence. Don't listen to my words. Listen to the people who discovered DNA. You know what I mean?
Interesting. I'll have to look that up.
We'll put links in the description.
So I guess to get back on what I was saying there is that there's a different opinion that I think can start to emerge, and that is, and pretty simple, if we take this all the way back, even to thinking about how does intelligent consciousness emerge. So looking at life on planet Earth, we can use this abstract to kind of get to where I'm going. If you're alive and you're a human, you have two parents. All the animals also have parents. We have this thing called parentage, and even all the way back to different cells, whether it's animal, simple, they all have
mitosis,
parentage,
cellular division.
and yes, cellular division and lines. And it's often a two combination makes a variation, another unique variation. And so if you want to go back even to potentially what's before planets and universes, if it's just like if you're into the consciousness kind of realm, you go, okay, there's one reality, but there's no differentiation yet. But then something is happening where some individual awareness arises, or and because this is outside of time and space, it's hard to even to kind of explain these things, because for something to arise, it has to have had like a before and after, but we're talking about potentially before time. Anyway, so what I'm getting to is that you have something that is one, and then it has some sort of splitting effect. And from that splitting effect, there's then a third piece that could arise. And this is a third piece that could arise. And so this is this concept of all life is a derivative of other life. And so for us to be here on Earth as an advanced species that thinks therefore we are, in my opinion, it's just as easy to say I think it's more likely to say that we were derived from other life than it is to say that we were derived from chance, from a single cell. Because even that concept is like, if you're not willing to ask the question where the single cell came from, then you're still just avoiding what the source was.
That's what I'm saying. Exactly. Wow. Beautifully put. You're a poet with your words. And you got me thinking of exactly where our bodies are made of atoms and elements. We're borrowing our bodies. When we die, they're going to rot back into the planet. They're going to rot back into the cosmos. So our bodies aren't ours. So we're part of the cosmic organization. We're part of the cosmic scheme. And you have to understand that. Sorry, I'm going off on a tangent here, but like you said, because we're part of this cosmic scheme, you have to recognize that we have personality. You have to recognize that we exist on planet Earth and we all have separate, unique personalities.
And when you say personality, quick, let me help you define that. You're talking about like individuality, the core part of your individuality, that ego that says like, I'm
Deadrick, you're Taylor.
I'm Deadrick, you're Taylor. Yep. And it kind of something that goes potentially beyond the body, something that we could recognize, if in the afterlife, in the various places that we might end up.
Thank you for bringing me back on that. I sometimes speak and I give a lot of people benefit of doubt, and these concepts need to be defined a little bit better. Yeah, a personality is a mind, body, spirit in conjunction. I say it in all my videos. Go watch my videos if you haven't seen it. Um, but a personality is the template which holds the mind and body spirit together. So like I could grow mentally, I can become smarter, I can lift weight and become bigger. Those can all grow, but you'll still recognize me as Deadrick because my personality is the template that holds my mind, body, spirit together. And when I say our body is a derivative of the universe because we borrow our atoms and elements from the universe, when we die, it rots back into it. Even our mind and our personalities are derivatives of the universe. And what people like, I don't know, on a great subject and a great concept that is spread throughout these different anomalous texts is the idea of the personality, what it is. And if we're also the elements and the particles, our body, if we are the universe experiencing itself physically, we're also the universe experiencing itself mentally and personally. So your personality is an extension of the universe. You don't get your body from yourself, you get your body from the universe, so you must get your personality from the universe. So that means there's like a grand personality that we all get our personality from. Does that make sense?
Right, because of the derivative concept, like,
Exactly.
and that's why I like to take it back, to the whole idea of consciousness and individuality as before even time, space, matter, planets, spheres. To start there makes it a lot easier to then understand why these things have so much order to it.
Think exactly. And yes, why do they have so much order to it? Is there a cosmic personality that's putting order to it? Like,
And like every philosophy and every religion gets into the concepts of what is this type of person that is beyond matter that could create matter from some other form of energy. And they call it different things. A lot of most texts will call it these spirit beings. They're spirit versus material. And then we're kind of thinking about it in terms of consciousness as well. That's a newer kind of word and term that like relates and makes sense. Another thread that I was thinking about when you were talking about mind, body, spirit in conjunction with your personality or your individual ego is that I've heard it said that the brain is a filter for your consciousness, and it's actually
your brain
filtering
is filtered
reality.
for your consciousness?
Your brain is a filter to filter
Okay.
reality to your consciousness, and I
Ooh,
like that thread
whoa,
because
whoa, whoa,
it's
whoa. These are monumental statements.
it's also a big switch. I like to challenge societal norms and thoughts for sure. That's
Most
part
people
of
would say
studying
that
reality if you
your
want to
brain's not a filter,
pioneer.
your brain is it.
Well, so what people are thinking is that your brain creates your consciousness, but then the other flip side is that your consciousness can exist apart from your brain, but your brain is just one part of the filter that allows your consciousness to gain experience of reality. And so now I'm going to bring this up another level. You have more than a brain. You're actually a mind, a body, and a spirit. And a brain
Oh
is just part
God.
of your body. And so, in my opinion, your mind and your body and your spirit are actually three filters of reality for your individual ego, your personality, to experience multi-level reality, multi-dimensional reality.
Man. Nah, dude, I'm cutting you off. Tay Chilla is a teacher, the cosmic teacher, cosmic philosopher. He's in the legacy too. Little asterisk. If you want to learn about that, join the legacy. This dude, he be talking about it all day. He be blowing my mind. I'm the president. No,
Yeah, and
seriously,
how
no.
get in those voice calls on Discord. That's where we really get into it, and
Oh, we're three times a
you can
week,
hear the
bro.
personalities
Three
coming
times a
through.
week, man. If you're not joining, you're fucking up. Pardon my French. Um, that's crazy. You're right. Like the body, the brain, and the mind are three different filters. People
Mm.
haven't even realized there are filters to reality yet. You know what I'm saying? And if you're one of them, hallelujah. You've been notified. You're now conscious that there are filters to reality. And that's what me and Taylor do. We try to figure out how to navigate the filters. Because if you think about a camera and a lens, if your lens is fucked up, your lens is scratched, your lens has dust on it, if your lens is foggy, you're not going to perceive the picture correctly. So, like, now imagine there's like more than one lens on reality, and you have to make sure they're all clean and they're all adjusted, they're all balanced, they're all, in line. If that
Yeah,
makes sense.
and get this, great philosophical theme is about subjective, objective realities. We try and
Ooh.
study objective reality, but we acknowledge that each of our perception is subjective. So we're trying to study something objective or absolute or transcendent, but through a limited filter. And so, but it's kind of interesting because without perception, which is always subjective, without perception, which has limits, can you actually experience anything? Because if you have no boundaries, no sort of focusing
Ooh.
lens,
Ooh.
then what are you actually looking at? Our eyes have a specific range of light that our brain converts into a visual image. It's limits, it's got boundaries, and so to me, your mind, body, and spirit has different limits set to it and different focal lengths and lens kind of measurements. And so
Yes.
it's focusing your potential to be aware of cosmic reality. It's focusing that into specific stages, and the body is just the first stage of your awareness that you'll perceive through, and you'll expand your mind while you're on earth. You'll maybe even begin to ponder spirit realities because you have that filter, even though that's the most obscure. Yeah, there's a lot of threads from that, but cosmic reality, you're tied into circuits because you exist because you are a derivative from some other life.
Sorry, guys. I'm fucking hydrating. Can't keep this conversation. Coconut water. I saw that earlier today. Good joint. Good fucking good call.
Pure coconut water.
That's good stuff for you. That's you want to keep functioning on the electrolyte level and the mind body level. Hell yeah.
I mean,
But
if I'm trying to think about these things, I gotta drink more than just water.
what else do you drink?
What else? Tea. I don't rely on coffee for like inspiration. I think that's a way to filter your consciousness. Absolutely, it's a stimulant. It's a boundary that you can set in order to be specifically creative or in a specific work mode. However, so experiment with that if you will, and then also experiment without it and weigh the difference.
Yep, straight up. So we're talking about the different dude. You put that beautifully. The different lenses of reality. You're riffing off what I said. That's what's up. Hmm. In my mind, I see three different lenses: a mind, body, spirit lens. You know that as well as I know that. And then from those three lenses, if you can focalize and coordinate the light from those three lenses, you'll get a correct perception of the true image. Does that make sense?
As correct as possible, because each stage has limits, but you can tune it to be as clear as possible for that stage of your existence. And I don't know, do you have any thoughts on, like, if you said your mind is a template, it's from somewhere else, like, does that mean you think we're going to get like another mind? Like, we know our body dies in like 100 years. Like, what's the point? What are we working towards? Are we going to, if we maximize our mind and our body, like, what happens next? Like, what's it
Very
for? What are we
amazing.
maximizing for? Especially if we're going to die, if our body's going to die in 100 years, why we put so much effort into this? And this is called Cosmic Road Trip, so you already kind of know what we think happens next and why we're maximizing. But to a lot of people, it's just 100 years and then you're dead. But what do you think?
Dude, beautiful, beautiful. Um, We all know that the body dies, right? We all know the body dies at some point in time. We live in a body. And what we're trying to say is that you are not just a body, you're a mind, body, spirit complex. Okay? So if we know that you're a mind, body, spirit complex, but the body dies, then that means in order for you to keep continuing your universe career, in order for you to keep having an identity past the body, you must identify with things that are not of the body. Does that make sense? And the beautiful thing about being here in a body on planet Earth, you've been here for 20 something years, I've been here for 30 something years. We both know our body's going to die. But before our body dies, we can learn mental and spiritual lessons, wisdom, spiritual realities. We can perceive them, we can experience them. If we know that we can experience mental and spiritual realities, but our body dies, and then we can put that next to the concept of, in order to keep continuing in the universe, you need to become more identified with spiritual and mental realities. Then you can understand that while you're down here, you need to cultivate your mind and your spirit, and then you need to identify with mental and spiritual realities so that when you die, because your body's going to rot away and die, you keep going. You have something to keep going. Most people only identify with material realities, and those are not eternal. They're not going to keep going. So I hope that kind of relates to what you asked me. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, sure. No,
that's
that
why it's
does.
so important.
Yeah, my question was sort of what are we maximizing for if we only have 100 years? Is it just to, have as much fun or success as possible in those 100 years? But yeah, you're kind of presenting a picture that's saying you are preparing for your next upload. You are getting ready for the transfer.
Yeah,
You
for the
are
transfer, straight up.
about to continue on the adventure of individual perception and perceiving that you exist and that you see other people and that you get to explore places and a planet, a sphere, some type of reality through whichever lens you're in. And so, yeah, that's inspiring to me. I
And
think
too
that,
many people identify with just the material reality. They only look at it through the material lens, and they need to understand that there's something more beautiful than that. You don't need to be anxious because of the way people are going to look at you. Oh, because of the way people think about you got to understand those are material ideas, and those are going to die. I always say it like this: like I've seen 100 different people trip on the side of the road, drop their food, fuck up in front of a group, and when you see it, you're like, whatever, okay, huh, whatever. You might laugh at it, but do you ever think of it for the rest of your life like that motherfucker was crazy? No, it's just a whatever thing. You're like, whatever. You keep moving on. So turn around the lens frame. Now you're the person in the middle of a big group of people fucking up. A lot of people get that social anxiety. You have to realize like it's not a big deal. Other people aren't going to remember it. Like it's not a big deal. And that's how people need to start perceiving reality. That it's not about what other people think of you. It's about you growing. You know, I don't know
sure,
how I'm
yeah,
relating it back to what I'm
progress.
saying. Yeah, Taylor, bring me
Yeah,
back to
yeah,
reality because I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about.
yeah. No, I dig it. The way I think about it is that no matter how many troubles, sorrows, struggles, freaking battles that you got to go through on Earth, just live life here to like have a material existence, to make money in a society, live,
Yes, the
participate in
one lens,
civilization,
the material lens.
um, all that, uh, all that, all you want to, if you had one goal, even if you didn't understand what came next, just have sincerity to experience and learn, even if you're like failing a lot right now, or you're not with it, you don't feel good enough to be inspired about anything, you're still learning something. And
Yeah,
I think that, yeah, that progress, that sincerity, the sincerity to participation. Yeah, I mean, in kindergarten and like lower grades, they measure mostly on participation. It's not really about the grades yet because you're
It is
still
about
learning how to learn. You're learning how to learn.
as
And
long as you're
so,
about learning.
yeah,
Dude, that's
and that
fire.
brings, and we're back. Quick cut there. But the last thing I was saying was that no matter how many questions you have about these types of concepts that seem far out, that can seem like things that occasionally we don't have time for. Look, most of our experience, most of our senses are the five senses, material reality. Me and Deadrick say that you can tap into more than just the five senses, but again, that's going to take some tuning, and that's what we're here for. But progress and sincerity is really all you need to grow. And as long as you're learning, I mean, look, if we're right and that you're going to continue experiencing yourself in the universe after your body dies, then all you need to have been doing is learning and being present wherever you were in your experience and actually participating. Um, yeah, that's a good kind of, I guess, end point for what I was saying. And look, here's another kind of segue. Uh, Even the most materialistic 21st century man or woman has that dream of immortality. And and that's what we're talking about here. We're talking about immortality. Some people want to live immortally in their body, but we're saying there's something a lot cooler. You can live in multiple bodies that you can get upgraded into. We're talking Altered Carbon is like they're on it. That's a Netflix show,
Go
and
watch it. I haven't watched it yet. It's on my watch list. I need to watch it.
dude, it's good. I'll give us a short kind of preview of why I'm inspired by that. In Altered Carbon, they find an alien piece of tech that allows them to create a chip which can house the core consciousness and memories of a human being. And this changes culture. And in this
Thought
setup,
adjuster.
we're multi-planetary species, and so it was on another planet a human explorer found this discovery and then used it to integrate with humans. So when you're born as a kid, they stick this technology, this chip in the back of your neck on your spine. And what happens is your core consciousness then resides in there rather than just like your brain or your mind body spirit complex. And so when their bodies die, they're still in that sort of consciousness chip, and they call it re-sleeving, where it's like getting a new body. And it's an ode to the fact that our bodies are
Rogan
sleeves
talks
that,
about this show all the time, bro.
oh yeah, it's becoming more popular to consider outside of just philosophy and religion, and it's partly because of, I guess, quantum science has experiments that deals with consciousness. Um, but yeah, so I was talking about immortality. So kind of back to that train. Even if you're like not really into the spiritual side of the topics, you've probably seen movies or had thoughts before, like, wouldn't it be cool to be like Wolverine and live for 300 plus years and just keep living, even though like most of Wolverine's girlfriends die, which is kind of lame.
Nah, that's
But
right.
hey, hey, some people might want it that way. So,
Cut that part.
uh,
Keep going.
immortality. Even if you've never studied any sort of spiritual cosmic reality concept before, look, you don't have to over spiritualize this. This is about you continuing to exist, continuing to adventure, continuing to experience, continuing to have friends. All the stuff you love about material life just gets upgraded in new ways. And right now we call it spiritual because we're not there yet. But when we get there, it's not going to be spiritual. It's just going to be the norm. And there'll be some other level of reality that we call spiritual.
Ooh, incremental progress. Yeah, that's crazy, right? Yeah, right. Exactly. Right. Once you get to a certain stage, you're gonna look at the future stage as the one to get to. You're no longer gonna be looking at what you previously thought you wanted to get to. You're gonna be looking at the next stage. Hopefully, unless you're just a sedentary bastard. I don't care about the next stage. No, okay. Um, that's a trip. That's a trip.
What do you what do you think about simulation theory? That thought just popped into my head, and it kind of deals with reality. It's a good segue for trying to study reality, and it's a popular one on conspiracy theories on Reddit, glitch in the matrix, all these kind of things. You know, anyone that questions reality comes across this question, especially with our computing power these days, our ability to make video games, VR. The question arises, are we in a simulation? So, Deadrick, what does that have to do with reality?
Woo! Asking the questions,
Are
asking the
we in a
real questions.
simulation? I want to know.
Yes, we are in a simulation, but we have to divine. Yeah, that's funny. Divine. We do have to divine. We have to define
Mm.
what the simulation is. You know, I say we are in a simulation, and I always tell people this: we're in the divine simulation. You know, it doesn't matter if you think we're in a simulation, the Matrix, everything isn't real, bro. You have to understand that for all intents and purposes, you're here now, and it is real. It doesn't matter if it's a simulation or fake. You know, you have to understand the simulation has a programmer. You know, and if you want to consider the universe as an entire simulation, then the universe has a central programmer. And if you want to figure out how to penetrate the simulation, you need to follow the code.
A
The only person that wrote the code is the programmer. There's no other way. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. There's no other way around it. You've got to follow the code. And me and Tay Chilla have
We got some cheat codes.
we got some we compiled some
We got
fucking
some
that's what
cheat
I'm saying. We
codes.
compiled some cheat codes.
But here's the thing: they're not. It's not cheating.
It's
It's
not.
only a cheat code because people don't know about it. It's not mainstream knowledge yet.
Yeah.
Mind body spirit practice is still. It's still a small group. It's
Isn't
not the
that weird?
majority.
Isn't that
But
weird? Like
it's
everybody wants to be, fit athletic wise and look good for Instagram, show my butt, show my thighs, look at my six pack. Everybody wants to be the smartest person in the subject. I don't know about you. I don't want to be the dumbest person in the room. And I hope anybody who's self respecting doesn't want to be the dumbest person in the room. They want to be the person who understands the subject. The fact that what the legacy and what me and you and what our brothers consider is the most important thing in reality, the fact that the most important thing in reality is secondary to either just mind product progress, being a smart person, or just body progress, being a fit person. The fact that the fact that a coordinated progressive approach to mind, body, and spirit to all three is secondary to just progressing one part of the mind, body, spirit, such as mind or body or spirit, to me, honestly, is, for lack of better words, disgusting. And if you truly want to talk about any of these philosophical concepts or real concepts, you need to have a coordinated effort of mind, body, and spirit. You can't just focus on one. And we have a lot of mental people who are just focused on the mind, engineering, physical architecture. We have a lot of people that are focused on only the spirit. Namaste, gurus, love and light, star seeds, which are my people, by the way. Sorry if I offended you. Hit me up, brother. And we have a lot of people who are only focused on the physical aspect, And from my point of view, if you want to understand reality correctly, bring me back to planet Earth, Taylor.
yes. Well, simulation. How you gonna understand reality?
Okay, thank you. That's what I'm saying. So simulation theory, yes. People are caught up in simulation theory, which is, for the most part, a mental construct. If you want to talk about simulation theory, which mostly comes from, I guess you could say, the video game group or the internet group or the engineering group, you need to understand that in any simulation, if you want to talk about simulation theory, you need to relate to simulations. And the best simulations we have are video games. In video games, you have stats. So simulation theory is correct. You shouldn't be worried about simulation theory. You should be worried about maxing out your stacks, right?
So, here's a kind of Here's one thing that I like to consider when talking about simulation theory. The word simulation,
It
it,
connotes mechanistic engineering type shit.
right, it also connotes that inside the simulation is less real than outside the simulation. But when you're talking about egos and consciousness, you could, okay, you're VR, you're wearing VR, you're experiencing a part of a simulation through some of your senses, but your consciousness is still in there. Your consciousness is in the simulation, and you're able to learn and experience the game. You can even increase the mental ability of your body within the game. Like you're cut off from
Damn.
this part of the simulation to enter another part, but you're still learning from that part. And so it's to say life is a simulation is not to degrade its value, because learning, it doesn't matter if your body isn't real. Like your if you want to argue, your consciousness is more real, and your consciousness can learn from any simulation, any program you're in, any set of limitations. And that's even kind of a way to help define simulation rather than like VR or fake. A simulation is a programmed set of limitations to create a world to have an experience in. And right now, our VR and our video games, we experience it through like a controller, but we're trying to get like a full body experience, even in a VR, because it would be kind of fun
Damn.
to have a no risk experience.
Real though.
Um,
100%.
but oh, get this, and this ties into a cosmic concept.
How do you
Uh,
upgrade? How do you upgrade?
well, yeah, this ties into that. So what I was gonna say is that what if the programmer, in order to code the NPCs, put a part of his own consciousness into the game. And this could kind of make sense because the human programmers
Ooh,
who create
damn.
video
You're pushing the
games,
limits.
the human coders who create video games also play those video games themselves. They're not just creating it for other people, they create it to enjoy. If they don't enjoy it, why would another human enjoy it? They're the one that made it. And so part of the video game, part of the coder's game is having a good time playing their own game. And so now we're talking about, on cosmic mind levels, on consciousness levels, whatever that means. If a set of limitations is projected or coded, but then you put a part of your consciousness into that to experience it, maybe this is an explanation for why we have spirits. Maybe our mind and our body is more a part of the simulation, but our spirit is actually is part of the user that transcends the simulation. And I think both me and Deadrick would argue that your spirit is the thing that can take you back to base reality, no matter
Damn.
which reality you're in. And that's why we're trying to perceive correctly, because like
Find the
even,
underlying
yeah,
code that runs everything.
right.
Find the ultimate algorithm that runs a sub
Mm,
algorithm.
hey,
And the sub, damn.
machine learning, your brain, our computers, we try and base them and we compare them to the human brain. We want to get it up to that level.
Yeah. That's a trip. So let's use computer terminology to talk about this. What is that part of you? So we're talking about like all the new movies coming out, the sci-fi movies, talking about uploading yourself into a computer chip or something like that. Speaking of which, shout out the Absonite sci-fi flick coming out soon. Shout out to James and Misty Buzzacco. Sorry if I mispronounce it. Hit me up. Y'all know who I am. I'm trying to get on that. In front of the
It's
camera
a
or behind the camera.
it's a show for the viewers. That's a show in development, in writing right now, and it's about consciousness. It has to do with these cosmic realities and human potential. So we're both excited for that show, and you can also participate in the show's kind of creation through like Zoom calls and stuff. So it's an
We'll put all
interesting,
the links in here below the
yeah.
description. But if we're gonna talk about how the consciousness can be uploaded, such as like into a, people are thinking about you can upload your consciousness into a computer chip and then die and then come back, and that's a whole different type of conversation that hopefully we're going to address in the next couple episodes. But for now, how would that work? Is there a universal
Mm.
coordinate aspect to that philosophy? Like,
Well,
but besides, not talking like a silicon computer chip where you can upload your mind to. Does the cosmos have a, what's the right word?
a template of an existing preset. I don't know. What do you get
Um,
into? A method to do that
a
transfer?
similar, yeah, a similar method to do that transfer.
Hmm.
Does reciprocal? I said no, it's not reciprocal. I don't know. Does the cosmos have a similar way of uploading your consciousness into the cosmic grid, such as a computer chip uploading into the net?
Okay.
And is that inherent in biology? Is it inherent in DNA?
Here's a question that is in that same vein. What makes you think you're not already uploaded into a computer, but this computer is called a biocomputer, and this is what your
Mind
body
computer.
is?
Yes.
Your body, and that's, and like I said before, our computers, we're trying to make them as powerful as the human brain, because the human brain is like, like crazy electrical neurons firing. That's
So
why
much quicker and crazier.
all the machine learning is based on like human learning, because that's like the best template of intelligence and processing on this planet that we can study. um, and so, yeah, in my opinion, that's a biocomputer. And so it's really not a strange idea that you could be uploaded. Now, right now, because our tech is limited to silicon, I don't think we're going to upload our consciousness on a silicon chip. But I think that if we can understand how the brain or the biocomputer, the sort of nature's computers, if we can understand those more, we'll understand more how consciousness integrates with that. We'll understand actually the science of how it, of the beginning science of how a transfer like that is actually inherent and not by chance. It's not just philosophy. It's not just limited to your belief system. This is actually a natural inheritance of any, I don't know, any being on any planet that's tied into cosmic reality.
Yeah. So because this is a cosmic road trip, and we like to, when we're on a road trip, you want to stop at all the mom pop shops that you see, all the road stops, all the truck stops. You just want to see what it is. And if you're in it for the trip, you're in it for the trip. And this is the cosmic road trip. So, whew.
And Earth is like, it's just one of the shops. Like, let's be real. There's a lot of other shops, and you're gonna want to see them all.
100%. So
Deadrick,
that's,
have you seen the Midnight Gospel show on Netflix?
I've
By
seen
a
two
comedian.
episodes. I've seen 2 episodes.
Heck yeah. So in that show, the Midnight Gospel, there's this Clancy is the main character, and Clancy
Yeah.
has
The
a universe simulator. It's like a very complex computer that he can actually like go into, and it has all these universes and planets and characters. And one of his hobbies is going into the universe simulator and interviewing the different people on planets, on different planets,
oh,
and getting their
that'd be a sick
perspective,
job, dude.
on philosophies and life itself, and not just the human experience, just mortal experience, immortal experience,
Oh
all
yeah.
the different experiences. Anyway, that's a kind of an interest. I like that show because it's kind of like what we're trying to do here. We're trying to, no matter if this is a simulation, we're projecting ourselves into this, we're participating, we're socializing, we're talking, we're getting other people's opinions, we're trying to examine reality outside of the universe simulator, and figure out what it's all about and have a good time while we're here.
Exactly. Yeah. And if you vibe with what we're talking about, dude, leave a comment. Tell us what you want us to talk about. We'll talk about it, bro. Straight up. Talking about the cosmic road trip and the different stops. Where do we go when we die?
Mm.
That's one of my main questions. Because this is a cosmic road trip, and I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. I'm gonna drop a deep subject. Where do we go when we die?
I
A
hope
lot
it's
of
not
people,
back to Earth. I'll
no,
say
well,
that.
shit, yeah,
Some people
but
think it is.
a lot of people don't. A lot of people think that heaven, where you go when you die, is something abstract, is something outside of the universe. And I've had a conversation with you, and we both come to the conclusion that where you go when you die is not outside of the universe. It's a specific. You wake up in the same universe.
Yeah, I couldn't prove that to you, but I think the thread you're getting to is that, one way that helps me think about it is we are on a sphere. The way we understand matter and how it comes together in the universe that we can observe is spheres. It coalesces, and gravity kind of makes these round balls that then consciousness in bodies and have minds then experience things. And so my question is, why are you so convinced that in heaven you won't be on a sphere? Um,
Mm.
like, does everything about the universe change like once your body dies and you wake up on the other side? Like you could, and this is where
Wait,
some people.
wait. You're blowing my fucking mind right now. Excuse my language. Where do you get this concept of you're gonna wake up on a sphere?
Yeah, well, I'm proposing that heaven is not so separate from the universe. That this is actually more of a multi-dimensional superimposition. These are layers.
What did you just say?
Well, multi-dimensional. Look, if you want to come back to Earth, then you're still on the same level of reality. That's not progression. If we're talking about progression and learning, to me, it makes sense that you're gonna change dimensions, and there's a lot of things we could try and define with that, but you kind of get the idea. You're gonna change dimension, but that doesn't mean you're not gonna be on a sphere. And you can call it a planet, but sphere is kind of a
Mm.
little more abstract to help you get off the idea of just material
Dude, that's
universe.
a trip. That's a trip. Can I tell you something that I've said in some of my videos, early videos that aren't pretty viewed now? Back in the day, they didn't have the term universe, so they used the term heaven, right? Back in the day, they didn't have the term government, so they used the term kingdom. Remember when Jesus said kingdom of heaven? So if kingdom equals government, and heaven equals universe, so kingdom of heaven equals universal government. And if the universe has a hierarchy and a system, I don't know. I'm just speaking all out of my ass right now. I've thought about this too. How do I reconcile the thought of heaven being some eternal reality that just God brings me to with the you know the immensity of the universe? And you just said something crazy that stirred my feelings. When you die, you wake up on another sphere. So that makes sense in my head. So if kingdom of heaven, like Jesus talked about, is universal government, next place I might wake up on is in the universe. The universe is the heavens, right?
Hmm. Yeah, no, that's interesting, and I'm not sure if you can totally argue that uh, when some of the Old Testament writers are saying heavens, that they understood that it would be you'd wake up in another part of the universe.
No, I
But
don't think they understood that at all. I'm talking about only Jesus' words.
yeah, no, it's a good point. It's an abstract that allows you to use a framework that you already understand and realize that it might have connotations that you never thought about before.
And that'd be crazy. So what if heaven was the universe? Just like a deeper part, another sphere, another planet you wake up on.
Dimension. I think a lot of people don't have a problem with the dimension concept. They kind of
Oh my
separate.
god, I remembered what I was forgot last time now.
You want to dive into it now or keep
Yeah,
going with
a
this?
perfect segue. Look how God works
Sure.
in mysterious ways. So yeah,
Oh, wow. So wise.
He's going deep, guys. Listen, no, yeah, no, for real. Yeah, I know it's such a gas, such a cliche saying. Um, Different dimensions, starlight. Our planet exists around a star called the sun. When you look out into reality, the only reason you can see reality is because of light. Without light, you wouldn't be able to perceive anything. If someone turned the sun off, you wouldn't be able to perceive anything. Because of light, you can perceive reality.
Your body wouldn't perceive anything without light.
Period.
Just
That's
saying.
what I'm saying. That's what I'm
But
saying.
your mind might perceive something.
You're getting ahead of yourself. I'm going to get to that at the end of the parable. Chilla is an advanced student. No. I'm a student too. I'm not trying to say I'm a teacher. Fuck. Um, Me and this nigga are both students, and we fucking vibe off each other. But okay, so what I'm saying is the sunlight feeds plants, right? It feeds evolution. It feeds a single cell up to man. Plants, single cell in the very beginning gets their energy from starlight, aka our local sun. Our sunlight can be split into, the rainbow. You can use a prism to split up our sunlight into 7 different segments: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. What organ do you use to see reality? Your eyes.
Eyeballs.
Right. So the reason you can see reality is because light is hitting off your eye and you can see it. In the middle of the night, if you look up at another star and you see that star, that means that light is traveling all the way across the cosmos and touching your eye. You're seeing that star because you're in contact with it. The light is touching your eye. So the only reason you can perceive reality is because our local sun, our star, the sun, is allowing you to see it. So everything you see is in a certain bandwidth of light. The solar light, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. That's why everything exists in a color spectrum. This light comes from our star, which is a certain frequency, a certain bandwidth. But you have to understand that if we went to a different star, that star would be in a different frequency, a different bandwidth, right? Your eyes are tuned into, are attenuated to our local star. If right now I could kill you and turn off your ability to use your physical eyes to see our local starlight, or let's say kill you is way bad fucking way to say it. If I could transfer you right now to a different star, me and you together, if I could transfer you to a different star, but take away our physical eyes that are conditioned to our local star, if I could transfer you to Orion right now, Orion gives off a different starlight, right? But if I gave you eyes that were conditioned to that starlight, what would you see?
Well, I'd have a new filter to look through if it was a new
That's what
set
I'm
of eyes tuned to that specific, part of the universe.
Starlight, right? Exactly. So when you die and you drop this body and these eyes, you know what I'm saying? Are you going to be able to perceive a different vibrational frequency in the universe?
So you're talking this is kind of about this is a good way to perceive how multidimensional reality and how heaven is potentially not seeable with this set of eyes. When they're talking about spiritual heavens, not just like heaven as the stars.
Yes.
And it would require a new actual set of sense mechanisms. It would require a new body in order to see that reality because it's on a different spectrum of light, sound. Those are basic examples. But they present the abstracts to understand how these multidimensional realities.
You get what I'm saying, 100%. I can tell.
Yeah. So we figured out the afterlife. Congrats.
Well, I've had the next step. So, in the middle of the night, when you see Orion, you see the Pleiades, you see the bunch of different stars, they're touching your eye. That's why you can see them, right? Even if you turn your head away, the starlight is still in contact with you. Whether you're looking at it or not, it's still hitting your body. Doesn't matter if you're looking at it or not. So let's go back to the single cell organism. It's not only getting hit with our local sun, it's getting hit with other starlight frequencies. Over millions of years, this single cell evolves up into man and woman, bipedal hominid form. All the while getting programmed by our local star. But it's also getting programmed by other starlight, because whether you're looking at it or not, that starlight's hitting you. If you have this ability programmed into the DNA from the single cell organism up to the man, that means you're going through millions of years of evolution where the starlight's getting programmed into your neural pathways, into your DNA. Do we have the ability to perceive different frequencies of light other than our local star, aka heavenly realms?
Hmm.
And if we die, what does heaven mean? If it's not an abstract thought, are we going to go into a different starlight field and perceive different realities? You know what I'm saying?
Sure. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's very possible. Right now, we're speculating, but hey, it's not that far away. You're only here. You're only here for 100 years. Average. I mean, maybe longer if tech and medicine gets better. I don't know, but yeah, it's a good proposition to make, and that's why I'm saying like the place you wake up on, you might wake up thinking, "Oh wow, I went from a sphere to a flat Earth," but then you end up having to relearn that you're actually still on a sphere because you're still in the universe, and the law of physics and gravity and matter is still making spheres, and that's the places that you experience on. Now that's one possibility.
Yeah, and
Um,
spheres revolve around the stars, right?
Stars. Maybe somebody wants to argue that your body dies and you don't get a new body. You're just a mind. You're like a floating awareness.
Where would
Uh,
that awareness be?
right, because we're talking about how do you go way back. I said you can't really have an experience without limitations, without
Right?
filters.
So the universe is I think the general set of limitations, right?
Yeah, and I mean, I don't doubt, from some of the books I read and some of the topics I study, I think that you can have experiences which don't require filtering the senses of the body. I think that you can tap into your mind and experience and sort of travel around with your mind perception. Some people, remote viewing is something the CIA studied that kind of has to do with this topic. CIA also studied astral projection. I'm not in the CIA. I'm just saying it twice because
If
they're
your
they're
internet gets a spike right now, it's not because of us.
there's an association in America called the Central Intelligence Agency, and they're about intelligence gathering. And so, like it or not, they kind of have to research some of the same stuff we're into when it comes to fringe ideas on human potential, because they're trying to maximize, it, but they're trying to spy on people too.
Would you
But
call the vehicle that holds just the mental consciousness a body?
Say it again. Would I call the vehicle that holds the mental consciousness a body? Yes.
So, like, if you die and leave this body, and your mental consciousness is floating around, like you said,
Mm.
what vehicle is it floating around in, and how do you
Ooh.
describe it?
Okay. So now you're talking about, and this philosophy has dealt with this probably for a long time. We understand the form of the body because it's something that we can study. It's in our senses, but mind is still pretty mysterious. Does mind have form? Does mind have a template? Is mind just psychology? Is it just about the connections you make in your brain, or is mind something we said earlier that your core consciousness, your sense of individuality, is actually imposed upon the mind template, and that mind template is actually a subset of a larger template that already exists in the universe.
Ooh, Adam Kadmon. All right. we need to ring it back because we've been talking for a bit. Our users are bored. They've already driven to their destination, or they've already listened to us talk about crazy shit for a while. I'm glad that you guys have lasted until this long. This is just the first episode of many. Recognize Taylor's face because he's going to be here a lot more than you think it is. Um, any final thoughts? Besides the fact we just talked about the craziest stuff in the most swagged out type of way. No, place.
If
If you don't think so, leave a comment. Seriously.
Yeah, leave a comment. There's a lot of themes that we discussed today, so I'm sure there's a deeper dive that we can do. If I was to say one last thing, I would say if you want the cheat codes, we didn't. We're not here to just keep them to ourselves. That's why we're talking about it.
Yeah.
And your participation is all that you need to grow. So it's kind of an easy avenue.
It's free, baby.
Yep.
Say if you like what we're talking about, subscribe. Keep up to date with the conversation. Me and Taylor are going to keep coming at you with a cosmic road trip. If you're on Instagram, follow me on Instagram, dbakeTheWise. If you're on Instagram and you want to follow Taylor
At Taychilla. That's all. Everywhere is at Taychilla.
at Taychilla. Keep the conversation going. DM him. DM me. This is on my YouTube channel, so I ain't got to plug it. New music coming soon. New music already out, depending on when you watch this. I love all you guys, and keep it wild, keep it crazy, keep questioning the norm. Think cosmically. Legacy FHP, Mind, Body, Spirit, Progress. Taychilla.
Signing off.
Later, guys. Bye.